In this video, you're going to learn something that's very important that's going to level up your playing. Now, I always talk about 70% of all music is based off scales, thirds, thirds, da, 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 da. You played those before. And arpeggios. Arpeggios are broken chords. When I talk about scales, I mean the major scale, the melodic minor scale, and the harmonic minor scale. Now, there are many other scales out there, but just those three, just work on those three right there. And then you have the thirds, and you do da, da, da. Okay, but today, we're going to concentrate on the chords, the value of the chords. And this is one of the aspects that are very important. Now, when I say 70%, that means 30% of the music that you see, whether you're playing jazz band, concert band, high school, college, this is 70% of music. The other 30% is stuff that you haven't seen that you have to work on. There you go. But these three aspects of music are very important. Today we're doing, like I said, we're doing the value of chords. Now, even if you're a musician out there jamming, you're a professional, you're out there doing gigs, this is going to help you out a lot. The value of chords are very important, right? So, first let's talk about major triad and the minor triad. So the major triad is C, E, G, and the key is C, and the minor triad is C, E flat, G. Now, how do we work on those arpeggios? Well, what I tell my students, you want to work on, say we're doing C, E flat, G, C, E, G, the major triad. You want to start on C and go up, da, 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 all the way up the horn and come back down. But suppose we were doing something like, say A flat triad, which would be A flat, C, E flat. I don't want you to start on A flat. I want you to start on the lowest note of the horn that's in that triad. So if you're playing an alto saxophone or tenor saxophone, you would start on C. You would start on C, right? And then you would complete the triad. The triad is A flat, C, E flat. You would start on C, and you'd be C, A flat, C, E flat. That's C, A flat, C, A flat, C, E flat, and on up as a triad. So that's how you want to work. You always want to work on the bottom of your horn to the top of the horn. Now, let me give an example of how that should sound. Something like that. Let me do the C minor. Say if I'm doing C minor. Of course, I can just play it straight up and down. And what I did there was I played C, G, came down to E flat, up to C. And we can do that same thing on the diminished chord. C, E flat, G flat. I did that wrong. So I'm skipping a note, every other note. So those are the triads. Now on the major seventh chords, we have C, E, G, B, right? So you play the C, E, G, B. And go all the way up the horn. But in this case, since B is the lowest note on my saxophone, I'm going to start on B and go up the horn. And I do those sort of things, that kind of exercise on the major. Same thing on the dominant seventh. I'm going to start on. So if I'm doing the dominant seventh chord, right, I want to start on the lowest note of my instrument. What is it going to be? It's going to be C, it's going to be the E, the G, or the B flat. Well, the B flat is the lowest note on my instrument, so I'm going to start on B flat and continue that dominant seventh chord. Same thing on the minor 7th chord, C, E flat, G, B flat. Same thing on the half diminished chord. I like the sound of half diminished chords. Now, what I like to do sometimes is play these chords consecutively and just run into the next one. I'm going to do the major 7, the dominant 7, minor, and the half diminished. All right, so that's work in the key of C. Imagine if you did that in all keys. My goodness, let me tell you something. If you did that in all keys, your playing will just elevate to a whole nother level. Now, let's talk about books. There are a lot of books out there that have this information in there. All this stuff is in books. But, you know, I had a student one time, they were just buying books and buying books. And I'm like, are you running into, you know, you can have tons of books out here. You know, you run your bill up a little bit buying all the books, but you can actually start your own book. What I would suggest you do, if you're going to follow this format that I'm asking you to do, just to level up your playing, there's all kind of apps out here that you can actually type in on the music staff paper in your computer, like MuseScore, things like that. And what you do is, because not only do you have to actually hear what this sounds like, but you have to see it on paper too. You have to see it on paper. Hold on a second. Let me show you what I mean. I have something here. Let me see. You have to actually see what it looks like on paper. Oh, there it is over here. I got it over here. So here are the notes here on the staff, right? You have your C, E, G, B, major, dominant, C, E, G, B flat, minor, C, E flat, G, B flat, half diminished, C, E flat, G, B flat. So, yeah. So you want to see what that looks like on paper, because when you're training your brain, what you are doing is you're training your brain to see something like this and already hear it before you play it. That's the level I'm trying to get you to level up. When you see a piece of music and you can analyze and you can know right away, because it might not be in this format. It might be switched up a little bit. It might start on an E. It might be E, G, B flat, and a C up there. It may not start on C, but you can see the chord. You can see it developing, and you might say, oh, I didn't even know what that sounds like. I know exactly what that sounds like. So you play it effortlessly because you put in the work on these arpeggios. So the books are good because you have to know how to read, but you also, it helps you, to identify what the sound looks like on paper. But what you can do for yourself is every time you go through this, you can type it in your computer, whatever software that you're using, type it up, print it out, and start your notebook. And then now you're starting your own book, actually. So you don't have to buy a whole ton of books out there. Books are good. I'm not going against books, but you can actually do a lot of work on yourself. So this is very important, very important. I just want to get you to understand. Can you imagine doing this in all keys, where your technique would be, where your ear would be? You would hear this stuff. You can actually hear this before you even play it because you put in the work. Because if you do it in one key, right, and you're doing it the second key, by the third and fourth key, you already know what it sounds like. You already know what it sounds like. So this is very important information. You may be a great player out there playing already, but if you missed this, I would suggest you go back, because that's what I'm doing now. I mean, I'm going back to fundamentals again, just to get back into the foundation. I've been playing for many years, but sometimes you have to regroup and go back and get that foundation again. So this is very important. As I said before, chords, arpeggios, Scales, we're going to talk about how to practice scales, and thirds, how to practice thirds. So this should be very helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.